Beloved chosen one, you do not arrive at this moment by accident, and you do not hear these words because the day happens to be quiet enough for your mind to pay attention. You are here because something in your spirit has been stirred, something deep and undeniable, something that has been trying to get your attention for far longer than you realize. There is a reason your heart has felt heavy lately. There is a reason certain doors have not opened. Certain people have drifted, certain plans have slowed, and certain comforts no longer satisfy you the way they once did. Heaven has not forgotten you. Heaven has been pressing pause on distractions so you can finally hear what matters. God is not whispering because the message is weak. God is whispering because what is sacred is often delivered in a way that forces you to come closer. You have been living in a season where much around you looks ordinary, but beneath the surface a holy urgency has been building. You can feel it when the room goes silent. You can feel it when you wake in the night and your thoughts are not random, but weighty. You can feel it when you try to move on from what you sensed, yet the feeling returns stronger, clearer, and more demanding than before. This is not coincidence. This is not imagination. This is not emotion with nowhere to go. This is divine intervention reaching into your life before you step past something that cannot be casually replaced. There are blessings that come and go with time. And then there are blessings so tied to your calling that to mishandle them is to delay part of your destiny. That is why this moment feels different. You are not merely being offered comfort. You are being confronted with a choice. Pay attention or drift. Obey or postpone. Respond or silence what God has been placing in front of you. The danger is not always rebellion in its loudest form. Sometimes the danger is shrugging off what God says because it did not arrive wrapped in thunder. Sometimes the greatest loss does not begin with open defiance. It begins with a quiet dismissal. It begins when you tell yourself there is always more time, more chances, another season, another invitation. But not every divine moment circles back in the same form. You know what it is to carry battles in silence. You know what it is to smile while your spirit feels stretched thin. You know what it is to be misunderstood by people who only see your surface and never sense the weight you carry underneath. That is why this word reaches you with such force. You have endured too much, prayed too long, and survived too many hidden wars to lose your greatest blessing because you grew tired at the edge of breakthrough. You did not come this far to misread the hour. You did not survive rejection, delay, confusion, and spiritual warfare just to become numb when heaven places something precious within reach. Do not ignore what keeps returning to your spirit. Do not dismiss the conviction that follows you into stillness. Do not explain away the holy discomfort that refuses to leave. There are moments when peace is not the absence of disruption, but the reward of obedience after disruption has done its work. Right now, your spirit is being awakened, not attacked. You are being warned, not abandoned. You are being called higher, not cast aside. God corrects what He intends to preserve, and God interrupts what He refuses to let perish. And when the interruption keeps coming, it is because mercy is still speaking before consequences are allowed to teach what obedience could have protected. You have been trained by hardship to expect delay, and because of that, part of you has become cautious with hope. You are careful now. You do not celebrate too soon. You do not trust every open door. You do not speak every dream out loud. That caution may have protected you in one season, but in this season it can also become a prison if it keeps you from recognizing a real instruction from God. Discernment is holy, but fear disguised as wisdom can cause you to step back from the very thing you prayed for. You must know the difference. You must listen beyond your anxiety. You must let your spirit rise above the noise of disappointment. Not everything that feels risky is wrong, and not everything that feels familiar is safe. This is why you are being told so clearly now. Ignore this and you could lose your greatest blessing. Not because God is cruel, but because neglected instruction always carries a price. A field left untended does not stay neutral. It grows wild. A door left unopened does not remain forever available. Seasons shift, windows close, hearts harden, opportunities move. What is postponed too long can become painful to recover. And still, even with that warning, there is hope all over this moment. Because the fact that you are hearing this now means the door is not shut. The fact that your spirit is stirred means you are not too late. The fact that conviction is rising means grace is still at work in your life. So lift your head. Shake off the dullness that tried to settle over your calling. Refuse the lie that says it does not matter whether you answer now or later. It matters. This moment matters. Your response matters. The next step of your life may depend on what you choose to honor today. Comment 333 below as your sign that you are paying attention and refusing to sleep through this divine warning. You are not weak because you feel the weight of this. You are not unstable because your heart is trembling. Sometimes your spirit trembles because it recognizes the seriousness of what your natural mind has not fully caught up to yet. Let that trembling become reverence. Let that reverence become obedience. Let that obedience become the doorway to the blessing that has been waiting on your yes. You are standing closer than you think. The atmosphere around your life is shifting. What once felt delayed is beginning to move. What once felt hidden is beginning to surface. What once felt uncertain is being brought into focus. But you must not turn away now. You must not numb yourself now. You must not choose distraction when discernment is being offered like bread from heaven. God is not trying to frighten you into surrender. God is trying to save you from the regret of realizing too late that He was speaking all along. This is the hour to listen closely, to move carefully, and to honor the stirring within you. You are chosen, and because you are chosen, your decisions carry weight. What you do next can protect what heaven has prepared, or it can postpone what was meant to bless you. Hear the warning with humility, but also hear it with hope. The same God who warns is the God who covers. The same God who corrects is the God who restores. The same God who calls is the God who makes a way for those who answer. And you, beloved chosen one, are being called to answer now. Beloved chosen one, before this warning ever reached your ears, before this stirring ever rose in your chest, before you even had language for what your spirit has been sensing, God had already marked this moment. Nothing about your journey has been random. Even the parts that looked delayed, even the nights that felt empty, even the doors that closed without explanation were being arranged around an appointment your soul was destined to meet. You keep looking at the present as if it stands alone, but heaven sees the whole path. God does not begin with the crisis, He begins with the calling. He does not wait until the danger appears to decide how to preserve you. He marks you long before the storm ever gathers. That is why there have been seasons in your life when you felt set apart and could not explain why. You tried to be ordinary, but something in you would not settle there. You tried to ignore the deeper pull, but it kept returning. You tried to shrink yourself so you would not stand out. Yet even in silence, your difference remained. This is because being chosen is not something you manufacture. It is something you discover. Often through pressure, often through confusion, often through the painful realization that your life has been moving under a hand far greater than your own. This is where the story of Joseph begins to move beside your own. Joseph was not marked in the palace. He was marked long before he understood the cost of carrying a dream. He was a young man when God allowed him to see what others around him could not yet recognize. The dream came before the pit. The promise came before betrayal. The glimpse of destiny came before the prison. That matters, because it reveals the pattern of God. He often plants revelation early, not so you can boast in it, but so you can survive the seasons that seem to contradict it. Joseph was shown something real, something holy, something greater than his present surroundings, and from that point on, his life could no longer be read as ordinary. You know what it feels like when God lets you sense more than your current environment can hold. It creates tension. It makes you restless in places where others seem content. It makes you aware that your life cannot be measured only by what is visible right now. Joseph carried that tension. He was loved, but misunderstood. He was near family, yet increasingly set apart from them. He was chosen, but his chosen state did not shield him from hardship. In fact, the mark on his life exposed him to opposition because what heaven approves often disturbs what human jealousy cannot understand. This is important for you right now because one of the enemy's oldest strategies is to make you misinterpret your history. He wants you to look back and see only chaos, only pain, only rejection, only unfairness. He wants you to believe your life has been a series of disconnected wounds. But when God opens your eyes, you begin to see another pattern. You begin to notice that certain losses redirected you, certain disappointments restrained you, certain delays matured you, certain isolations protected you, certain heartbreaks kept you from binding yourself to places where your blessing would have withered. What looked like abandonment was often preparation wearing rough clothes. Joseph could have said his story was ruined the moment he was thrown into the pit by the very ones who should have protected him. He could have believed the dream had failed before it ever had the chance to unfold. Yet the pit was not proof that God had changed his mind. The pit was one dark stop on a road that heaven had already seen from the beginning. You also have places in your story that felt like pits. Moments when you were lowered into confusion, silence, or humiliation and left to wonder how something so painful could exist beside a promise from God. But the pit does not cancel the mark. The betrayal does not erase the call. The hidden season does not destroy the blessing. If anything, it reveals how carefully heaven guards what it has chosen. Because sometimes what is chosen must be concealed before it can be revealed. There is a reason this message reaches you now and not earlier. God knows when a truth can be heard without being wasted. He knows when your heart is ready to connect your present warning with your past formation. You are not just being told to pay attention to what lies ahead. You are being invited to reinterpret where you have been. The pieces matter. The tears matter. The waiting matters. The strange turns matter. The prayers that seemed unanswered matter. Under all of it, God has been developing spiritual memory in you, teaching you that His hand can be trusted even when His pattern cannot yet be traced. Listen to the power of this promise in Romans chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to His purpose. That verse does not say all things feel good. It does not say all things look good. It says they work together. That is the hidden architecture of grace. God gathers what looked scattered. He orders what felt broken. He folds pain into purpose and timing into testimony. So when you stand at this present crossroads, do not stand there as someone forgotten. Stand there as someone marked. Stand there as someone whose history has been watched over more closely than you knew. Stand there as someone whose life, like Joseph's, has carried the fingerprints of divine intention long before the full meaning became clear. You are not being awakened by accident. You are being awakened on time. And the God who marked you before this moment is the same God who is now teaching you not to ignore what could change everything. And because you are beginning to see that your life has never been as random as it once appeared, you also begin to understand why distraction has worked so hard to surround you. The enemy rarely begins with open destruction. More often, he begins with subtle interruption. He clouds what should be clear. He fills your atmosphere with noise when heaven is trying to plant focus. He offers you small comforts at the exact moment God is asking for deeper attention. That is how many blessings are missed, not through dramatic rebellion, but through gradual drift, not through one loud refusal, but through 1,000 quiet excuses. You have to recognize this pattern, because what is being threatened in your life is not only your peace, it is your ability to stay alert when God is moving. Joseph knew this kind of pressure, though it wore different faces throughout his journey. In the pit, the temptation would have been despair. In slavery, the temptation would have been bitterness. In Potiphar's house, the temptation would have been compromise. In prison, the temptation would have been numbness. At every stage, there was something trying to separate him from the integrity that would protect his future. The attack was not always against his body. Often it was against his focus. If the enemy could not erase the dream, he would try to distract the dreamer. If he could not stop the calling at its source, he would try to wear the vessel down with confusion, delay, and emotional exhaustion. This is why you must take your present distractions seriously. Not every interruption is harmless. Not every invitation deserves your yes. Not every voice around you carries light. Some things are sent only to scatter your energy, drain your discernment, and make you casual in a season that requires spiritual precision. You already know the feeling of being pulled in too many directions at once. Your thoughts become crowded. Your prayer life becomes rushed. Your ability to sense what matters becomes dull. You still believe in God, but your attention gets fragmented, and that fragmentation slowly steals the sharpness you need. This is how subtle warfare works. It does not always try to make you evil. Sometimes it only tries to make you unfocused. Joseph remained powerful because he did not let every environment define him. The pit did not convince him he was worthless. The house of service did not convince him he was forgotten. The prison did not convince him God had withdrawn. Even when he did not yet understand the timing, he continued to carry something within that hardship could not extinguish. That inner guarding matters for you now. You cannot afford to let your environment name you. You cannot afford to let delay tell you that your blessing is dead. You cannot afford to let distraction talk louder than destiny. The greatest danger in a sensitive season is not always the obvious attack. It is the slow erosion of your ability to notice what heaven is emphasizing. That is why some things have recently begun to lose their flavor in your life. Conversations that once entertained you now leave you empty. Habits that once felt harmless now feel heavy. Places that once seemed comfortable now feel strangely misaligned. This is not because you are becoming cold. It is because your spirit is waking up. God is increasing your awareness so you can stop feeding on what cannot sustain the next version of you. The more clearly you sense this, the more carefully you must guard it. A distracted soul can stand in front of a blessing and still not recognize it. A divided heart can hear a warning and still postpone obedience. A tired mind can talk itself out of what God is trying to confirm. So you have to become honest about what keeps pulling you away from depth. It may be people who only call when they need access to your strength. It may be endless noise that keeps your soul from becoming still. It may be the old habit of running to comfort whenever conviction begins to rise. It may even be the pain of past disappointments whispering that there is no point staying alert because nothing good ever lasts. But that lie must break here. The truth is that your life is entering a moment where focus will protect favor. Attention will protect blessing. Obedience will protect what distraction has been trying to scatter. Joseph's story reminds you that preservation is not passive. He had to keep choosing what was right when easier options stood in front of him. He had to keep honoring God when no audience applauded him. He had to keep his inner world clean while outer circumstances remained unfair. That is where many spiritual battles are won. Not on public stages, but in private decisions. Not in moments of applause, but in seasons of hidden restraint. Your blessing may be closer than you think, but the path to it still asks something of you. It asks for attention. It asks for discipline. It asks for the courage to stop entertaining what keeps your spirit cloudy. And as this message continues to reach those who need it, there is something gentle but important to say. If this word is strengthening you, let your response reflect that life is flowing through it. You can like this message, share it with someone whose spirit has been under pressure, and subscribe so you stay connected to what God may continue to release into your season. And for those who feel led to help support this work, there is also a way to give through the donation link in the description. None of that replaces obedience, but it can become a simple act of alignment when your heart recognizes that a message has met you at the right time. Still, the deepest response is not digital. It is spiritual. It is the decision to stop calling your distractions small when they keep costing you clarity. It is the decision to stop excusing what drains your discernment. It is the decision to turn your face again toward what is holy, even if that means letting go of habits, voices, and patterns that have stayed around too long. You are not being asked to become perfect overnight. You are being asked to become aware. You are being asked to notice where your focus has been leaking. You are being asked to honor the warning before the loss becomes heavier than the correction. The reason this matters so much is that blessings are often preceded by battles for attention. Before the door opens, distraction increases. Before the answer arrives, noise intensifies. Before the breakthrough becomes visible, pressure tries to make you careless. So do not read this tension as proof that you are failing. Read it as proof that something valuable is near enough to threaten darkness. Stay awake. Stay tender. Stay honest. What God is drawing you toward deserves more than half of your heart. And what heaven has prepared for you is worth protecting from every subtle thing that tries to pull you away. And this is where the warning becomes even more serious. Because distraction is dangerous, but hesitation can be even more costly. There are moments in your life when the greatest battle is not whether you believe God exists. The greatest battle is whether you will move when His instruction becomes clear. You can sense the door. You can feel the stirring. You can recognize that something is shifting around you. And yet one part of you still wants to wait for a little more certainty, a little more comfort, a little more proof, a little more perfect timing. But hesitation has a quiet way of stealing what open rebellion often cannot. It keeps your hands still when heaven is asking you to respond. It keeps your mouth silent when God is asking you to speak. It keeps your feet rooted in familiar ground when your blessing is waiting on the other side of obedience. Joseph knew what it meant to live inside that tension. By the time he reached prison, he had already endured betrayal, false accusation, and delay heavy enough to break the average person. He had done what was right and still suffered for it. He had stayed clean in spirit and still found himself confined in a place that looked nothing like the promise God had shown him. This is where many people begin to harden. This is where they start saying that obedience does not matter, Purity does not matter. Faithfulness does not matter because the reward did not come when they expected. But Joseph did not let delay teach him cynicism. He remained alert inside a season that could have easily made him spiritually numb. That matters for you more than you realize. One of the enemy's most effective weapons is not always temptation in the obvious sense. Sometimes it is the slow suggestion that your response can wait. Tomorrow will do. Next week will do. After you feel stronger, calmer, clearer, then you will obey. After life becomes less complicated, then you will pray seriously. After people finally understand you, then you will step into what God has been showing you. But spiritual timing rarely bows to human convenience. If God is stirring you now, then now matters. If God is exposing something now, then now matters. If God is warning you now, then now matters. The prison season of Joseph's life carries this lesson with unusual force. While confined, he interpreted the dreams of two men connected to Pharaoh's household. He gave the interpretation faithfully, and it came to pass exactly as God revealed. One of those men restored to his position was supposed to remember Joseph and speak on his behalf. Yet Joseph was forgotten. 2 more years passed in silence. Imagine that. 2 more years after doing the right thing. 2 more years after serving faithfully. 2 more years with no visible movement. That kind of delay can make a soul tired. That kind of silence can tempt a heart to conclude that nothing changes. But heaven was not absent in those 2 years. Heaven was arranging timing. You need to hear that deeply. Delay is painful, but delay is not always denial. Stillness is difficult, but stillness is not always abandonment. The hidden danger is that extended waiting can train you to stop expecting movement at all. It can make you settle emotionally in a place that was only meant to hold you temporarily. It can make you so accustomed to the prison that when the call finally comes, you almost struggle to believe it is real. That is why hesitation becomes so costly, and it is not just delay of action. It is the inward surrender of expectancy. Some people do not lose their blessing because God refused to give it. They lose it because weariness taught them to stop preparing for it. They stop listening carefully. They stop guarding their hearts. They stop sharpening their discernment. They begin to live as though the prison is permanent. The disappointment is final. The waiting room is their home. But Joseph's life proves that a long season of confinement can break in a single day when God's appointed hour arrives. The prisoner can be summoned. The forgotten can be remembered. The delayed can be advanced. The hidden can be lifted into visibility. Yet when that hour comes, you must be inwardly ready to move. That is what this warning is protecting in you. God is not only trying to keep you from sin, He is trying to keep you from spiritual slowness. He is trying to preserve your readiness. He is trying to keep your soul responsive so that when the next instruction comes, you do not meet it with hesitation. Because hesitation sounds harmless until you realize what it can cost. It can cost peace. It can cost timing. It can cost clarity. It can cost relationships that were meant to be stewarded well. It can cost doors that do not stay open forever. It can cost momentum that took years to build in the spirit. And maybe that speaks directly to where you are now. Perhaps you already know there is something God has been pressing on your heart. A habit to leave, a step to take, a conversation to have, a discipline to return to, a private compromise to confront, a fresh act of surrender to make. The reason it keeps returning is because it is connected to preservation. God is not irritating you. He is rescuing you from the consequences of delay. Mercy often sounds like repeated instruction before it ever sounds like judgment. Mercy repeats itself. Mercy knocks again, Mercy warns before it lets loss become the teacher. Joseph did not become Joseph in the palace. He became Joseph in the places where he kept choosing faithfulness before the reward appeared. That is the pattern unfolding in your life as well. The blessing ahead of you will require a version of you that has learned responsiveness, steadiness, and trust. If hesitation keeps ruling you, then even the thing you prayed for can feel heavy in your hands. But if obedience strengthens you now, then the blessing will not destroy you when it comes. It will find you ready. And while your deepest need is spiritual alignment, there is also a practical side to this season that some people may recognize in themselves. When your mind has been overstretched, your focus fractured, your creativity dulled, and your inner clarity buried under stress, it becomes harder to respond to God with calm attention. That is why some listeners may be interested in a tool like the Genius Wave, also called Genius Song, which is described as a short daily audio experience designed to support focus, mental clarity, creativity, calmer thinking, and better cognitive flow through sound-based brainwave entrainment. If that kind of support feels relevant to your current season, you can look for the official information in the description or the pinned comment. Be careful with imitations and only use the official source if you choose to explore it. But even as you consider practical support, do not forget the deeper truth this moment is teaching you. Your greatest blessing is not protected by comfort. It is protected by obedience. And this is why the blessing before you is unlike the ordinary things you once asked for in weaker seasons. This is not merely about relief. This is not merely about having an easier life, a calmer week, or a more comfortable path. What God is positioning before you now carries weight because it is tied to identity, stewardship, and purpose. Some blessings are temporary comforts, but others become turning points that reshape generations, redirect futures, and reveal why so much resistance gathered around your life in the first place. The more connected a blessing is to your calling, the more fiercely it is often contested before it arrives. Joseph's story makes this plain. The dreams he received as a young man were never just about personal elevation. They were about preservation. They were about timing. They were about a future in which lives would be sustained because one man remained aligned with God through seasons that made no natural sense. If Joseph had read his story only through the lens of personal pain, he would have missed the scale of what heaven was doing. The betrayal hurt him personally. Yes. The slavery humiliated him personally. Yes. The prison confined him personally. Yes. But the blessing attached to his life was always larger than his private suffering. God was preparing a vessel through whom famine would not have the final word. That is why your current season cannot be measured only by how it feels to you right now. You are not wrong to feel weary. You are not wrong to feel stretched. You are not wrong to ask why the road has been so narrow and why the testing has lasted so long. But you must also begin to ask another question. What if the blessing ahead is greater than the personal comfort you have been craving? What if it is designed not only to bring you joy, but to make you a refuge, a source of wisdom, a carrier of provision, a witness to the faithfulness of God in a way that touches other lives? When blessings carry that kind of assignment, they require deeper preparation. Joseph's elevation in Egypt was astonishing, but it was not random. It came after hidden formation had done its work. When Pharaoh dreamed and no one could interpret what God was saying, Joseph was suddenly remembered. In one day he was called out of prison, cleaned up, brought before power, and asked to speak into a crisis that would affect an entire nation. Imagine the weight of that moment, years of hidden suffering. Then suddenly one open door, years of being overlooked, then suddenly standing before the ruler of the land. years of silence, then suddenly a chance to speak words that would alter history. This is what many people fail to understand about divine blessing. When it finally appears, it may come with speed that makes your head spin, but that speed is built on years of invisible preparation. The public suddenly sees a door open and calls it luck, but heaven knows the process behind it. The blessing feels sudden only to those who did not witness the nights of restraint, the tears of endurance, the private acts of obedience, and the painful choices that kept your spirit aligned while your circumstances remained unclear. Joseph did not become ready when he reached Pharaoh. He was already ready because he had learned to carry God's wisdom in darkness. And that is what makes your greatest blessing different from ordinary success. It is not only meant to reward you, it is meant to reveal what God built in you. It is not only meant to answer a desire, it is meant to validate a process. It is not only meant to place something in your hands, it is meant to prove that what heaven developed in secret can stand in public without collapsing. This is why so much in your life has felt like preparation without explanation. God often trains you before He tells you what the training is for. He deepens you before He displays you. He teaches you to stand when nobody notices so that when the moment of visibility comes, you do not become intoxicated by it. When Joseph stood before Pharaoh, he did not speak as a man desperate to impress. He spoke as a man who knew the source of wisdom was God. He did not claim glory for himself. He did not let sudden opportunity seduce him into pride. He remained anchored. That anchored spirit is part of the blessing itself. Many people want promotion without character, influence without humility, increase without inner stability. But the blessing God is preparing for you is too significant to rest on a shallow foundation. It must find you rooted enough to carry it without losing yourself. Listen to the strength of Proverbs chapter 10, verse 22. The blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich, and He addeth no sorrow with it. That verse does not mean there is no process. Joseph's life proves there is process. It means that when the blessing is truly from God, it does not corrupt the soul that receives it. It does not demand that you betray your spirit to keep it. It does not come with hidden poison at its core. It carries the stamp of divine order. It fits the deeper architecture of your calling. That is why you must not compare what God is preparing for you with the quick gains and shallow victories you see around you. Some people obtain things that look impressive but cannot sustain peace. Some people reach places that seem enviable but lose themselves in the process. Some doors open only to expose a person to burdens they were never spiritually built to carry. But what God has for you is not meant to break you open in the wrong way. It is meant to establish you. It is meant to fit the life He has shaped through all your hidden seasons. Joseph's blessing eventually placed him in a position where he could preserve not only Egypt, but his own family, the very people connected to the story that once wounded him. That alone shows you the scale of divine design. God can take the area of deepest pain and turn it into the place from which provision flows. He can transform what looked like the burial ground of your dream into the road that carries your blessing into maturity. He can build a future so precise that even your old wounds become witnesses to His wisdom. So when God warns you not to ignore this moment, it is because the blessing at stake is not small. It is not casual. It is not replaceable in the way lesser opportunities are. It carries layers you cannot fully see yet. It holds fruit beyond your present imagination. It belongs not only to your desire, but to your assignment. And that is why heaven has been so deliberate with your life. You are being prepared to receive something that is greater than convenience. You are being aligned to carry something that will reveal why God refused to let you settle for less. And now the battle moves inward with even greater intensity. Because once you begin to recognize the value of the blessing, the conflict does not disappear. It often becomes more personal. The noise outside may still be real, but the deeper war starts within your own thoughts, your own emotions, your own memories, and your own willingness to trust God beyond what your eyes can currently measure. This is where many chosen ones struggle in silence. They are not fighting a visible enemy in front of them. They are fighting the argument within. They are wrestling with the part of themselves that still remembers disappointment, still fears loss, still questions timing, and still wonders whether obedience will truly be worth the cost. Joseph knew this kind of battle well. By the time he stood in a place of authority, he had already endured enough pain to justify suspicion, enough betrayal to justify distance, and enough delay to justify emotional hardness. Yet the deepest conflict in his story was not only how he survived the pit or the prison, it was what kind of man he would become after surviving them. Pain can refine a person, but pain can also tempt a person toward hidden bitterness. Delay can deepen wisdom, but delay can also deepen self-protection. Joseph had every human reason to become guarded in ways that would have poisoned the very purpose God placed on his life. You know that tension too. There are moments when you can feel two voices pulling at you. One says, trust God, stay open, stay humble, stay clean in spirit. The other says, protect yourself at all costs, expect disappointment, keep your heart closed, and do not risk believing too much again. That is the inner battle you can no longer ignore. It is not enough to look faithful on the outside while fear quietly governs your inner world. God is after something deeper than your appearance. He is reaching for the place inside you where agreement is formed. He wants your thoughts aligned, not just your language. He wants your trust restored, not just your behavior managed. Joseph's later story reveals this with piercing clarity when his brothers eventually stand before him in Egypt, not recognizing the brother they once sold into slavery. Imagine the emotional storm in that moment. The faces connected to his wound are now standing in his presence, vulnerable and dependent. He has power now. He has influence now. He has the ability to respond from injury, revenge, pride, or mercy. That moment is not only a test of position, it is a test of the soul. Has the pain become poison, or has God truly transformed it into wisdom? That is where your battle lives as well. Not everyone who hurt you will return in the same way Joseph's brothers did. But life has a way of bringing you face to face with old wounds in new forms. Sometimes it is a memory that rises without warning. Sometimes it is a conversation that reopens a place you thought had healed. Sometimes it is a new opportunity that resembles the last one that ended in pain. In those moments, the inner war becomes fierce. Will you let the past decide your present response, or will you let God's work in you become stronger than what happened to you? Joseph did not handle everything instantly. He tested, he observed, he wept, he processed. That detail matters. Healing in the hands of God is not fake passivity. It is not pretending you were never hurt. It is not acting unaffected when your heart has real history. Joseph felt deeply. He was moved deeply. But he did not let emotion rule the final outcome. He allowed God's larger purpose to govern the moment. That is spiritual maturity, or not the absence of feeling, but the refusal to let wounded feeling become your master. There is something sacred happening in your own inner battle right now. God is teaching you how to carry memory without being imprisoned by it. He is teaching you how to remain discerning without becoming cynical. He is teaching you how to stay tender without becoming naive. He is teaching you how to stand in authority without turning cold. The war is intense because what is being shaped in you is precious. A hardened heart cannot carry heaven's finest blessing for long. A divided mind cannot steward divine favor with stability. A bitter spirit cannot enjoy what it prayed for. So God goes after the hidden places. He addresses the old fear. He confronts the old agreement with hopelessness. He calls out the quiet assumptions that tell you nothing truly beautiful can last. And that is why this message may feel close, almost uncomfortably close. It is not here merely to inspire you for a moment. It is here to expose the place where your inner dialogue has not yet fully surrendered. Maybe you still say you trust God, but inwardly you are bracing for loss. Maybe you still pray, but inwardly you have prepared yourself not to expect much. Maybe you still obey in visible ways, but inwardly you remain chained to the belief that disappointment is safer than hope. But that pattern cannot travel with you into the next season. What God is bringing requires more than outward discipline. It requires inward agreement. If this word is helping you stay awake to that inner process, you can quietly support its reach by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people who are fighting these hidden battles can find strength at the right moment. And for those who want to help sustain this kind of message, there may also be a donation option in the description. These are simple acts, but sometimes simple acts become part of how light continues moving toward those who most need it. Still, the deepest work remains between you and God. Joseph's strength did not come from public recognition. It came from what God built in private pain. Your next step will not be secured by appearances either. It will be secured by the condition of your inner world. So let God search it. Let Him confront every fearful thought that has acted like wisdom. Let Him uncover every old wound that still tries to shape your future. Let Him retrain your expectations until your spirit stops bowing to the memory of loss and starts standing under the promise of God again. The inner battle may be fierce, but it is not proof that you are failing. It is proof that something decisive is being formed. You are being brought to a place where your yes to God is no longer shallow, no longer emotional only, no longer dependent on comfort. It is becoming rooted. It is becoming mature. It is becoming the kind of surrender that can hold blessing without worshiping it, carry authority without being corrupted by it, and receive restoration without forgetting the God who sustained you in the waiting. That is why this war within you matters so much. It is preparing you to meet the next part of your story with a healed and ready heart. And this is where your eyes begin to open in a deeper way. Because once the inner battle has been exposed, you can no longer pretend that God has been silent. The truth is that He has been speaking for a long time. The signs were there. The pattern was there. The confirmations were there. But pain has a way of clouding recognition, and fear has a way of making divine repetition seem ordinary. You may have called it coincidence. You may have dismissed it as emotion. You may have told yourself not to read too much into it. Yet when God keeps placing the same truth before you through different moments, different impressions, different interruptions, and different seasons, it is not because He lacks clarity. It is because His mercy is patient enough to repeat what your spirit cannot afford to miss. Joseph's life was marked by these repeated signs. The dreams in his youth were one sign. The favor of God resting on him even in slavery was another. His ability to interpret dreams in prison was another. The accuracy of those interpretations was another. The sudden remembrance by the cupbearer when Pharaoh was troubled was another. None of these signs stood alone. Together they formed a chain of evidence. They revealed that even when Joseph could not see the whole design, God was steadily, faithfully, unmistakably moving through his life. The path was painful, but it was not random. The signs did not always remove the suffering, but they testified that suffering was not the final author of his story. You have had signs like that too. Maybe not in the same outward form, but in ways fitted to your journey. There were moments when a word reached you at exactly the right hour. There were times when something in your spirit leaped even while your mind still hesitated. There were closed doors that later turned out to be protection. There were delays that spared you from attaching yourself to what could not carry your future. There were warnings you almost ignored, only to realize later they preserved you. There were conversations, dreams, verses, sermons, impressions, and holy discomforts that carried the same underlying message again and again. God has not been absent from your life. He has been leaving traces of his voice all along the road. One reason people overlook these signs is because they expect God to move only in dramatic forms. They look for lightning and miss the lamp. They look for spectacle and overlook pattern. But God's faithfulness often appears through repetition. He confirms, and then confirms again. He nudges, and then nudges again. He allows the same truth to echo through different channels until the soul has no honest way left to call it accidental. This is not because God is uncertain. It is because he is kind. He knows how easily human hearts drift. He knows how quickly pain can distort perception. He knows how often people need more than one witness before they are willing to move. Joseph could have ignored the signs at several points in his life. He could have treated his ability to interpret dreams as a meaningless talent instead of a channel through which God was speaking. He could have concluded that because the cupbearer forgot him, every prior sign had lost its value. He could have read Pharaoh's sudden summons as mere politics rather than divine timing. But when the appointed hour came, all the signs converged. The same God who had spoken in the hidden years was now revealing the larger meaning of what had once looked scattered. That is how God often works. He lets the signs gather quietly until one day they form a picture too clear to deny. Maybe that is what is happening for you now. Maybe you are beginning to look back and realize that what you called delay was also direction. Maybe you are seeing that certain burdens were not punishments but signals. Maybe you are recognizing that your restlessness in old environments was not instability but holy discomfort. Maybe you are finally admitting that the message has been repeating because heaven has been trying to spare you the sorrow of ignoring it. There is humility in that realization. It asks you to stop pretending you have not heard. It asks you to stop treating recurring conviction like background noise. It asks you to honor the pattern. And when you honor the pattern, something powerful happens. Confusion begins to lose its grip. Your history starts to make more sense. You stop reading your life as a collection of isolated events and begin reading it as a guided story. Not a story without pain, but a story with direction. Not a story without mystery, but a story with a faithful author. Joseph reached that understanding not because every question was answered at once, but because enough signs accumulated to reveal that God's hand had been there from the beginning. Listen to the wisdom of Isaiah chapter 30, verse 21. And thine ears shall hear a word behind thee saying, This is the way, walk ye in it, when ye turn to the right hand, and when ye turn to the left. That verse carries such tenderness and such authority at the same time. It does not say you will never face crossroads. It says God will speak in them. It does not say you will never feel pulled in different directions. It says there is a voice able to guide you through them. That is the grace surrounding you even now. The signs God has shown you are not there to entertain your curiosity. They are there to guide your obedience. Every confirmation carries responsibility. Every repeated warning carries weight. every stirring you kept feeling in prayer, every inner check you felt before taking a wrong step, every strange pause that interrupted your plans, every sudden clarity that came when you were ready to give up, all of it matters. These are not fragments to toss aside. They are pieces of a divine conversation. Joseph's story teaches you that signs are often easier to understand in hindsight, but they must be honored in real time if they are to protect you. The dream mattered before the palace. The gift mattered before the promotion. The prison interpretations mattered before Pharaoh's summons. In the same way, what God has been showing you now matters before the full blessing arrives. Do not wait until the outcome is visible before you admit that God was speaking. Respond while the signs are still guiding you, because when mercy repeats itself, it is not trying to overwhelm you. It is trying to prepare you. It is giving you one more chance to notice, one more chance to align, one more chance to say yes before the next door opens. And now, with the pattern becoming clearer and the signs harder to dismiss, you are being invited into that sacred honesty. God has already shown you more than enough to know that this moment matters. The question is whether you will finally treat His repeated voice as holy. And now you come to the part of the journey that feels the most solemn, because there is a difference between being warned and being left alone. There is a difference between conviction that still calls your name and silence that lets you keep walking into danger without interruption. This is the moment many people misunderstand. They assume that if consequences have not arrived yet, then the matter is not urgent. They assume that because the sky has not fallen, heaven must not be concerned. But mercy does not always look like immediate rescue. Sometimes mercy looks like repeated interruption. Sometimes mercy looks like holy discomfort. Sometimes mercy looks like a message that will not leave you alone because God loves you too much to let you drift peacefully toward loss. Joseph's story carries this truth in a quiet but powerful way. Think of his brothers long before they stood before him in Egypt. They were warned by conscience, though they tried to bury it. They saw Joseph's anguish when they sold him. They heard his cry. They knew what they had done. Yet they continued living as if the act could be hidden forever. Time passed. Life moved on. The consequences did not strike them instantly in the way they might have expected. But the absence of immediate collapse did not mean heaven was unconcerned. It only meant that mercy was allowing time for what was hidden to ripen toward revelation. That should make you pause. One of the most dangerous things that can happen to a person is not immediate correction, but the false comfort of thinking they have gotten away with ignoring what God has made clear. When conviction first comes, the heart is tender enough to feel it sharply. But if that conviction is resisted again and again, something begins to change. The soul adapts to disobedience. The ear becomes less sensitive. The warning that once shook you starts to feel distant. This is not freedom. This is loss of sensitivity. And loss of sensitivity is one of the first signs that mercy is beginning to step back and let the person experience what instruction was trying to prevent. You may have seen this in your own life in smaller ways. There were times when a choice immediately troubled your spirit. You knew something was off. You felt the check inside. But if you ignored it long enough, the sharpness faded. Not because the thing became right, but because your heart was adjusting to what should have remained uncomfortable. That is why this section of the message matters so much. God is not only concerned with your actions, He is concerned with your sensitivity. He is concerned with whether your spirit still trembles when He speaks. Because once a person can silence that trembling too easily, they are in a more serious place than they realize. Joseph's brothers eventually encountered famine, and famine has a way of exposing what comfort can hide. In scarcity, they were driven toward the very place where their past would confront them. They came to Egypt for bread, not knowing they were also walking into an encounter with truth. This is how God often works when mercy has been resisted for too long. He allows circumstances to bring a person face to face with what they tried to outrun. Not always to destroy them, but to reveal that nothing buried outside of repentance remains buried forever. What grace had once whispered, reality now announced. For you, this is a warning wrapped in kindness. Do not keep treating conviction like an inconvenience. Do not keep assuming the delay of consequences means permission. Do not keep telling yourself that later obedience will be just as powerful as present surrender. There comes a point when repeated resistance changes the texture of the heart. A person can still speak spiritual language while becoming inwardly dull. They can still look composed while drifting far from the tenderness that once made them responsive to God. That is what must not happen in you. Listen to the gravity of Hebrews chapter 3, verse 15. Today, if ye will hear his voice, harden not your hearts. That verse is urgent without panic, firm without cruelty. It does not say hear his voice someday. It says today. It does not merely warn against wrong action, it warns against a hardened heart. Because the deeper tragedy is never just the missed step, it is the inner condition that keeps producing missed steps. Joseph's brothers felt the weight of this when they finally began to speak among themselves about their guilt. Years had passed, yet the memory had never truly died. Their conscience had not disappeared. It had only been waiting for the right pressure to speak again. That tells you something crucial. Mercy can step back from shielding you from the pressure that exposes what you refuse to address in private. And when that happens, the experience can feel severe. Not because God suddenly became harsh, but because the heart delayed what could have been healed earlier through humble obedience. So take this moment seriously. The stirring you feel is not your enemy. It is evidence that your heart is still reachable. It is evidence that grace is still drawing near enough to warn you before numbness sets in more deeply. This is not the time to perform spirituality while protecting disobedience underneath. This is not the time to decorate compromise with excuses. This is the time to return quickly. Listen carefully and answer while your spirit still recognizes the weight of God's voice. Command I obey. There is still hope in this moment, and that hope is stronger than fear. The very fact that you are hearing this means the door to tenderness is still open. The very fact that conviction rises means mercy has not fully withdrawn. God is not eager to cast you away. He is eager to awaken you before the cost grows heavier. He is calling you out of the dangerous place where repeated delay begins to feel normal. He is pulling you back from the edge where sensitivity starts fading and consequences start teaching what love already tried to say. And this is why Joseph's story remains so piercing here. The same God who allowed truth to confront his brothers also allowed restoration to remain possible. Their exposure was not meaningless. It became part of the road back to honesty, humility, and reconciliation. That is the holy tension of this hour. Mercy may begin to step back from shielding you from consequences, but mercy also still makes a way for repentance before ruin has the final word. That is why you must not delay now, not after so many signs, not after so many warnings, not when the voice of God is still reaching through the noise and saying, "Come back into alignment," while your heart can still hear me clearly. And this is where the path narrows into a decision that can no longer be postponed. Because once truth has been repeated, once the signs have been made clear, once the heart has been warned and awakened, what remains is the choice between obedience and comfort, This is the place where many souls hesitate because comfort always speaks in a familiar voice. Comfort says stay where the cost is lower. Comfort says protect what is predictable. Comfort says you can honor God later, more safely, more conveniently, when the emotional price is not so high. But obedience rarely waits for ideal conditions. Obedience asks whether you trust God enough to move while the outcome is still unfolding. Obedience asks whether you love the voice of God more than the ease of remaining unchanged. Joseph came to this place more than once, but one of the clearest moments appeared in the house of Potiphar. He was young, far from home, separated from everything familiar, and placed in a vulnerable position. Then temptation approached him, not only as desire but as opportunity dressed as secrecy. No crowd was watching, no family was near, no immediate consequence seemed guaranteed. In that moment, comfort could have argued many things. Comfort could have said you have already suffered enough. Comfort could have said you deserve something that feels good after all the injustice you have endured. Comfort could have said no one will know, no one will care, and survival in a foreign land requires flexibility. But Joseph understood something deeper. He understood that disobedience always asks for less than it costs. That is one of the most important truths you must carry now. The comfort you are tempted to protect may not be innocent. It may be the very thing preventing your next level of alignment. Sometimes comfort is not rest. Sometimes comfort is avoidance. Sometimes comfort is the shield you lift to avoid the sharp but healing work of surrender. Sometimes comfort is the familiar pain you know how to manage, which feels safer than the unknown blessing that obedience might uncover. But familiar pain is still pain, and false safety is still bondage when it keeps you from following God. Joseph answered temptation with clarity. He did not negotiate. He did not flirt with the edge. He did not tell himself he could cross the line a little without truly falling. He chose obedience over immediate comfort, and that choice cost him dearly in the short term. He lost position. He lost ease. He lost the appearance of progress. He was falsely accused and thrown into prison. To the natural eye, obedience seemed to make his life harder, not easier. That is where many people stumble. They think if a choice is truly from God, it must immediately feel rewarding. But God's ways often pass through costly faithfulness before they reveal their wisdom. You may be standing in a similar tension. Perhaps God is asking you to leave behind a habit that comforts you but weakens your spirit. Perhaps He is asking you to step away from a relationship, an attachment, or a pattern of thinking that feels familiar but keeps draining your discernment. Perhaps He is asking you to return to discipline, to prayer, to truth, to honesty, to restraint, to a step of obedience that your flesh keeps postponing. The reason it feels difficult is because comfort has trained your body and your emotions to prefer ease over transformation. But you were not chosen to live at the level of your comfort. You were chosen to walk at the level of your calling. Joseph's story proves that obedience can look costly before it looks wise. Prison followed integrity. Delay followed righteousness. Silence followed courage. Yet none of that meant obedience failed. It meant God was building something that comfort could never produce. Had Joseph chosen the easier path in that moment, he might have preserved temporary ease and destroyed the internal strength needed for the future God had prepared. That is what you must see clearly. The comfort you cling to today may be the thing that quietly steals tomorrow's blessing. The obedience that feels expensive today may be the very thing that protects the future you have been praying for. Listen to the strength of Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19. I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing, therefore choose life. That verse lays the matter bare. God does not erase your agency. He dignifies it. He places the path before you and calls you to choose life. Not someday. Not when it is emotionally effortless. Now, in the tension, in the uncertainty, in the place where faith must become a decision instead of a sentiment. This does not mean obedience is always loud. Sometimes obedience is deeply private. It is the decision not to return to what once numbed you. It is the choice to tell the truth when hiding would be easier. It is the resolve to forgive when bitterness feels more justified. It is the discipline of stillness when distraction feels more soothing. It is the humility to say yes to God before you understand every outcome. These choices may seem small to others, but heaven sees their weight. Heaven knows which quiet decisions are building the architecture of your next season. Joseph's entire life reveals that comfort could not have carried his assignment. Only obedience could. Comfort would have trapped him in lower rooms. Obedience carried him through hidden rooms until the palace door opened at the appointed time. Comfort would have made him blend into his circumstances. Obedience preserved the distinctness of his calling. Comfort would have silenced the discipline, purity, and endurance that later made him trustworthy in power. Obedience formed the vessel that blessing could safely fill. That is why you are being brought to this place with such seriousness and such love. God is not merely asking you to give something up. He is asking you to agree with the version of you that heaven has been forming all along. He is asking you to stop bowing to the temporary relief of comfort and start standing in the deeper peace that obedience produces. He is asking you to trust that what He protects through surrender is worth more than what you lose by letting go. And notice how Joseph's story prepares you for this final stretch. The warning, the marking, the distraction, the hesitation, the value of the blessing, the inward battle, the repeated signs, the sobering reality of mercy stepping back. All of it has been leading here, to this choice, to this sacred dividing line where you decide whether you will preserve your comfort or preserve your calling. The path forward is not hidden anymore. It may still feel costly, but it is not unclear. Obedience stands before you with clean hands. Comfort stands before you with familiar chains. And now, with God's voice still reaching you, with your spirit still awake enough to tremble, you are being invited to choose the path that leads to life. And now you stand at the threshold, not as the person you were when this message first found you, but as someone who has been steadily brought through warning, remembrance, testing, clarity, and choice. The path has narrowed, the signs have spoken, the inner battle has been exposed, and the difference between comfort and obedience has been laid bare before you. What remains now is not confusion. What remains is surrender. What remains is the holy moment where you stop circling the issue and finally place your whole heart before God without reserve. Joseph reached that kind of moment too. And when he did, the fruit of all his hidden seasons came fully into view. The brother who had once been rejected became the man through whom provision flowed. The one who had been sold became the one entrusted with saving many alive. The dream that once looked impossible did not die in the pit, did not die in slavery, did not die in prison, and did not die in delay. It matured, it ripened, it waited for God's timing. And when the hour came, Joseph did not enter it as a broken man grasping for revenge. He entered it as a vessel refined by God, strong enough to carry blessing without being corrupted by power. That is the invitation before you now. Not merely to receive something from God, but to become the kind of person who can carry what He gives. This is why the warning mattered. This is why the distractions had to be exposed. This is why hesitation had to be confronted. This is why your inner world had to be searched. God was never just trying to get you to a blessing. He was shaping you to meet it rightly. He was teaching you that your greatest blessing is not something you seize in the flesh. It is something you step into through obedience, humility, and trust. When Joseph finally revealed himself to his brothers, one of the most powerful truths in his story came pouring out. He was no longer reading his life only through the lens of pain. He had begun to see it through the lens of providence. He understood that what others meant for evil, God had been able to turn toward good. That realization did not erase the suffering. It redeemed its place in the story. And maybe that is what God is doing in you right now. He is not asking you to pretend the pain was pleasant. He is asking you to see that pain was not sovereign. His hand was, there is deep peace in that kind of surrender. It does not come from finally controlling every outcome. It comes from trusting the one who has been faithful in every season, even the ones you did not understand at the time. It comes from releasing your need to make sense of every delay before you obey. It comes from laying down the old defenses, the old excuses, the old agreements with fear, and saying with your life that God is wiser than your comfort, more trustworthy than your caution, and more powerful than your history. So let this moment become holy in a very personal way. Let the warning turn into worship. Let the conviction turn into cleansing. Let the choice turn into action. Let the stirring turn into surrender. You do not need to be louder than everyone else. You do not need to prove anything to people who never understood your path. You simply need to answer God with honesty. That is where the blessing begins to open fully. Not in performance, but in yieldedness. Not in image, but in truth. And maybe the most fitting response now is prayer. So wherever you are, let these words settle into your spirit. Father, in the name of Jesus, I come before you with an open heart. Thank you for not letting me drift without warning. Thank you for speaking to me in ways I could understand. Thank you for every sign, every interruption, every conviction, every delay that protected me when I did not yet see what you were doing. Forgive me for the times I ignored your voice, postponed obedience, or treated holy things casually. Wash my heart from distraction, from fear, from compromise, and from every place where comfort has become more precious to me than surrender. Make me tender again. Make me clear again. Make me ready again. Lord, heal the places in me that still lean on old pain. Break every agreement I made with disappointment. Lift every weight that keeps me from saying yes to you fully. Give me the courage to obey when obedience feels costly. Give me discernment to recognize what is from you and what is sent to scatter me. Guard my heart from hardness. Guard my mind from confusion. Guard my spirit from delay. And if there is any blessing you have prepared for me that I have been too numb, too fearful, or too distracted to recognize, awaken me now so I do not miss what your mercy has placed within reach. Thank you for the story of Joseph and for the way it reminds me that what you begin, you are able to complete. Teach me to trust you in the pit, in the waiting, in the silence, and in the moment of lifting. Let my life become a testimony that your wisdom is greater than betrayal. Your timing is greater than delay, and your purpose is greater than every attack that rose against me. I place my future in your hands. I choose obedience over comfort. I choose truth over avoidance. I choose surrender over fear. Lead me into the blessing you have prepared and make me faithful enough to carry it with humility. In Jesus' name, amen. Stay in that prayerful place for a moment. Let your soul breathe there. Let the peace of God settle over the places that were tense. Let the presence of God quiet the places that were noisy. Let the truth of God strengthen the places that were wavering. You do not have to force the next season open. You only have to remain yielded as God opens it in His way and in His time. And as this message comes to its close, there is one gentle invitation to carry with you. If this word has met you in a real way, you can like it, share it with someone who needs this warning and this hope, and subscribe so you can stay connected to future messages that continue strengthening your walk. And if you want to help support this work so more people can receive these messages, there may also be a donation option in the description. Let every outward response simply reflect what your spirit has already begun inwardly. A sincere yes to what God is doing. You are not leaving this moment empty-handed. You are leaving with clarity. You are leaving with warning turned into wisdom. You are leaving with a heart that has been called back to tenderness. You are leaving with the memory that God's greatest blessings are too holy to be handled carelessly. You are leaving with the assurance that the same God who marked Joseph through every hidden season has been marking your life too. And now the path opens in front of you. Not because everything is easy, but because God has made the choice plain. Listen, obey, trust, walk forward. The blessing prepared for you is not beyond His power to bring forth, and your yes still matters more than you know. So go forward with reverence and with peace. Do not rush past what God has spoken, and do not return to the numbness He has just exposed. Carry this message carefully. Return to it in prayer. Let it echo through your quiet moments. Let it shape your decisions. Let it refine your attention. You have not been warned because God wants to shame you. You have been warned because He loves you enough to preserve what He placed over your life. The story has shown you that delay is not the end, that pain is not the author, that obedience is never wasted, and that blessing often waits on the other side of surrendered attention. Joseph's life stands as proof that what God ordains cannot be buried forever. And your own life, if you continue to walk with humility and courage, will also become proof. Rest in that truth tonight. Walk in that truth tomorrow. And when the next step comes, answer it with the same surrendered heart you found here. Heaven is still speaking. Mercy is still reaching. And your greatest blessing is still worth protecting.